Heart racing, the assassin holds his breath and looks down the scope at President Trump. People scream he's got a gun as police officers surround the building. But no one has stopped him. Just a football field away from the president. Counter-snipers see the threat, but have not engaged. The trigger is pulled. A bullet rips through Trump's ear. Blood splatters Trump's MAGA hat and pours down the side of his face into his hands. Several more bullets riddle the stage. Counter-sniper teams engage and miss. Then, hit. Trump rises in defiance, fist in the air. Fight, fight, fight. 20 seconds in Pennsylvania will change America forever. Yet the government has told us nothing. In fact, the Secret Service has lied to the American people multiple times about that day. We needed answers, so our team traveled to Butler, Pennsylvania, the assassination site. What we found is worse than you can possibly imagine. This is the Trump killbox. Our first stop in this investigation was Washington, D.C., to pick up two experts in counter-sniper operations and tactical threat engagement, who also happen to have constitutional oversight of the Secret Service. Congressman Eli Crane is a qualified lead sniper for his SEAL Team 3 platoon. Congressman Corey Mills ran counter-sniper operations, serving in the Army 82nd Airborne Division and the State Department. Both men have been shot at in war zones and shot back successfully.
I want to get the facts. I want it to be a bipartisan full investigation, but I don't want this to be one of those where we overclassify it so the American people don't have the transparency, because they deserve to see this, to be able to, one, have confidence that it wasn't something that was an inside job, or it wasn't something that was just negligence, or it wasn't dereliction of duty, but that they actually can say, I know that my president, future presidents, are actually going to be protected and safe whenever death threats and other types of risks are there. And here's how it happened and what we're going to do to prevent it in the future.
When you get out on that site, if you have even an iota of training on security, long distance shooting, and you get on that property, I mean, you see a water tower that covers the entire premises, basically, you start asking yourself, why the hell wasn't anybody up on that water tower?
So that's what we intend to do with this video, to establish from an expert perspective, what are the questions, right? How many answers will we get? I'm not sure. We're not going there with subpoena power and law enforcement to kick in doors, but we can go look and see and ask questions. So these are the questions that I want to sort of open the table up for. What are the biggest gaps or holes that you men see right now?
Definitely, I want to know why there wasn't counter snipers on the tower. I want to know who made the call to send the shooters or the security team outside of that second story window that had clear coverage over the shooter. I also want to know where this young 20-year-old kid with no military experience got his training, because I'm hearing he had advanced explosives. I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to figure out how a 20-year-old kid acting alone by himself got within 150 yards. It's one of the most powerful, one of the most loved, but also one of the most hated individuals on the entire planet.
I've only been here 10 seconds. I am blown away by the fact that there is no law enforcement, there's no government investigators, there's no Secret Service, nothing's cordoned off. Nobody seems to have any specific interest in investigating anything. You'd assume it'd be a crime scene of the century, right? Nope.
While on the ground, we are going to investigate 5 fatal security failures that created the conditions for Trump to get shot. Rooftop kill zones, security dead zones, Overwatch, the sniper's nest, and communications collapse. All of these elements combine into what the military calls a kill box. A kill box is a 3-dimensional target area designed to facilitate maximum likelihood of a casualty event. On July 13th, Trump was in the kill box.
This is shockingly close.
Officer on the roof would have prevented this entirely. The first location to investigate was the Secret Service sniper's nest atop the red barns behind Trump. The assassin, Thomas Crooks, was an obvious person of interest to law enforcement. He was denied entry to the Trump event by Secret Service and had been flagged by local police for skulking around the AGR manufacturing building with a rangefinder 90 minutes before the shooting. He accessed the roof by climbing up on an air conditioning unit and traversing the interconnected rooftops with a backpack. His movements were slow, lumbering, and obvious to anyone with a line of sight. Crooks even pointed a gun at police officers and rally-goers alike who were filming him from the ground. Police had completely surrounded Crooks by the time he was in position to fire on Trump. New footage recently released shows Crooks atop the roofline of the building 3 whole minutes before firing shots. You can see his head and torso and firearm. The snipers atop the Red Barn location had clear line of sight to engage the shooter, but did not fire until Trump had been shot. We climbed up onto the Red Barn sniper nest position to see what those snipers saw that day.
You had one guy here who's got a slightly elevated position. People in those windows, which could see the backside of those buildings, it would have 100% coverage if you're communicating.
So if we are in the sniper position, as we saw with the tripod right here, you see dents, right?
Right.
This must be very close to where they were, and you don't see the same dents. So if you're looking at this shot, what were they looking for? What was the hesitation? What would you expect to have happened?
I haven't seen video of Crooks taking a shot, but I'm assuming based on how he was wisely low crawling up the roof that he probably took a shot from a prone position. So you might be looking at a profile that's, I don't know, maybe 6, 10, 12 inches high.
Got it.
And if one of those guys was on high magnification, one of the snipers, it's hard to find anything on high magnification, so he might have had to dial his scope back out,
get the field of view,
just so he could find him. Oh, there he is. I'm coming in. Crack.
It took a full 20 seconds to neutralize the target. Why? The answer is bone-chilling. According to local SWAT teams, there was simply no communication with the Secret Service.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers. That never happened, and we had no communication with the Secret Service.
The Secret Service skipped the security briefings and site visits.
You had no communication with the Secret Service at all on that Saturday.
The snipers on the roof had no idea what was going on, what the commotion in the building was about, and local law enforcement had no way to contact them directly. They had no intelligence and were in the dark, and that is why they were fatally slow to react.
Neither the Secret Service counter-sniper teams nor members of the former president's security detail had any knowledge that there was a man on the roof of the AGR building with a firearm.
This is completely suicidal. If the agents protecting the president can't share intelligence about a threat to the president's life, it guarantees failure of the mission by design. The agents we spoke with say they've never seen a setup like this, and it gets much, much worse. How was Crooks allowed to get so close to the president in the first place? How was he allowed to fire 8 shots? We investigated his sniper nest to find out. The exact location where Crooks fired his weapon is easy to find because once you are on the rooftop, it is still stained with his blood.
Yes, this is it right here.
This is it right here?
You can see the blood trail that comes down.
Got it. Got it. So they're right where Trump was.
Right.
They're where Trump was right there.
As your basic training boot camp soldier, that they make twice this distance shot to pass boot camp with iron sights, not with a red dot, not with a scope, with any magnification or any type of a, red dot sight. It's that much easier of a shot.
So level 1 to 10 difficulty shot from right here.
For one of us, exceptionally easy.
We crawled on our hands and knees into Crooks's exact assassin's position. This is precisely what Crooks would have seen as he fired the rounds at President Trump. This is what Trump would have seen had he looked at the roofline of the AGR building. This is how close the killer was to President Trump. The Red Barn is not the only sniper position at the rally. The Secret Service is responsible for stationing all protective teams for the president. Local and state law enforcement officers go where they're told and do what they're told. A local SWAT sniper team was stationed on the 2nd floor of the AGR building with perfect overwatch of the roof. The snipers in this location could have and should have easily been able to engage Crooks before he ever came close to scope sight of Trump. The acting director of the Secret Service says he does not know what happened in this location, but we do.
Who was stationed up there? And did they see the shooter? Why weren't they engaging?
Once there was a suspicious individual reported, One of them came down, left the room that they were conducting Overwatch in, went down to, I think, walk around the perimeter, see if he could find him. Tried to come back in the building. The key card wasn't working, and so he called the other guy that was up in the room. The other guy left his post to come down to let him in. We're being told that that's when the shots were taken.
So it's just the worst possible timing for a local SWAT team or sniper team.
So Crooks was able to crawl across a rooftop and fire on President Trump, while this fully equipped sniper's nest with perfect view of the assassin's position was left totally unmanned. This humiliating error happened because Secret Service did not have command, control, and communication with local teams. The assassin would have been easily identified and tracked with modern Overwatch capabilities, yet drone technology was not used by the Secret Service, and was turned down when locals offered. This is why Crooks was hard to follow on the ground and on the rooftop. But even without drones, the shooter could have easily been neutralized by correctly positioned sniper teams. The water tower in Butler is a point of great controversy, not because there was a shooter there, but because there wasn't. Why was there no sniper team positioned as Overwatch on the highest point in the entire county during the Trump rally?
Anybody even get up in that water tower to check lines of sight, angle? Again, look around you guys. It is the highest point on this entire observation point on this entire property. Did anybody even get up and, do a site survey on that water tower?
Our drone footage of the water tower shows what a perfect location this would be for Overwatch. This simple graphic shows how easy it would have been for a sniper positioned on the water tower to have tracked, engaged, and neutralized Crooks before he ever got a shot off on President Trump. A security dead zone is an area at an event where the general public can enter and exit without ever being screened by security. Did you know that there was a 3-acre security dead zone 80 yards away from President Trump with clear line of sight to the stage that conveniently happened to be right in front of the AGR manufacturing building? The chaos that this security dead zone created allowed for Thomas Crooks to scope out the building with a rangefinder and eventually climb up to his sniper's nest and shoot President Trump.
So anyone carrying any bag or anything could have walked right up to this fence line.
They were all in.
And if you look at where that orange flag is on the ground, I mean, that's essentially the stage area.
Any person, let's just assume that person is a paramilitary trained individual with terrorist connections who walked across our southern border. Just for worst case scenario, any group or anyone could have walked right up to this fence line and been how far away from the president?
Roughly from here, what do you got? 100 yards? You've got a backpack with a concealed collapsible that you set down, unzip, and pull from here. You're 100 yards.
And what's to stop 15 men from doing that?
Nothing.
At the same time?
That they could have parked on the side of the road, walked that back path by the water tower, and come straight to this point, and you're 100 yards without even have ever touched a security element.
There are plenty of people who are willing to die to take a shot at the president, no matter who the president is.
That's right.
President Trump's particularly high value target.
Right.
There's no doubt that there would be 15 men with terrorist associations in the country right now.
Well, I think that if you look at the 400 plus who's crossed our open borders on the known terrorist watch list, I think that it's very self-evident that we all know that they're here. It's just a matter of if and when.
It's critically important to remember that no matter how bad the events of this assassination attempt were, because of the failures of the Secret Service, they could have been much, much worse.
This is the FBI flag where President Trump was standing and was shot. That's the spot right there. Guys, this is a kill box, is what it is. It's a kill box. And according to all of our sources, these roofs over here and the roof over there, none of that had any security on it. There were open rooftops in every direction.
Professional snipers can hit targets at 2,000 yards. There are 7 unsecure rooftops in full line of sight to Trump in that range.
I'm no security expert, but I look around, and if somebody was able to crawl up on that rooftop, there are rooftops in every direction. This does not seem like a wise place to have ever approved of a rally. Am I wrong?
It seems like there's a lot of structures that are, very threatening to the president in this spot. These buildings take up like his rear, his 180. And so what we're looking at, most of our threats are, these buildings out in here, and most of them are well within the distance that a trained shooter would be able to execute.
Standing right up here and looking at this, Congressman, for the first time, seeing it again with fresh eyes, would you have authorized the president give a speech?
Sometimes in units like that, whether military or law enforcement, you're told, this is what we're doing, make the best of it.
This is why it's so important as well to have a security team who's willing to push back and say, sir, we don't have enough available resources and assets to secure certain areas. That's where that prioritization of where would I you have to almost put yourself into the mind of someone who would try and make this and say, where would I be? What would I do?
If a trained professional sniper had decided to kill Trump that day, God forbid. We have established beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump was intentionally put into the kill box on July 13th. So who's responsible for this fatal security plan? Who cut the communication lines? Who kept Trump on stage? And who will be held criminally liable for these deadly decisions? We have so many questions after our investigation of the assassination site, but one thing is crystal clear. There are forces that wanted President Trump dead. The obscene security failures created the conditions for a live TV execution. These failures are unforgivable and have inspired regular Americans to ask questions like this.
Was there a stand-down order, Ms. Cheadle? Was there a conspiracy to kill President Trump?
The head of the Secret Service resigned in disgrace after this question, but her replacement continues the same failed policies that sent a bullet through Trump's head. Not one federal government employee responsible for the assassination attempt on Trump's life has been fired. Gross incompetence is indistinguishable from malevolence. Enough stupid people making decisions together will get innocent Americans hurt or killed. Whistleblowers inside the Secret Service have warned of another Trump assassination in 30 days or before the election. How long till the next Trump kill box? We demand accountability and criminal charges for those responsible. Pray for President Donald Trump before it's too late.